Y'all, all my videos are for entertainment purposes, so let's keep it real. Don't try any of this at home.
Y'all, today's a good day for an adventure, don't you think?
Welcome to a tiny magical little kingdom called Bithaca, LaRue.
Oh, my begonias, there you are. We're so happy you came. All our adventures are for the young at heart. No matter what our age, this is our version of gnome gardening. Episode 12, Damsel in Distress.
Well, hey! Welcome back, y'all. It is awfully nice to see you again. To support my channel, subscribe and click the notification button so you know whenever I release a new video. If you like my channel, please smash the like button. Come on, y'all. Let's go see what adventures is happening today.
Fairy Cara is a garden fairy who lives in a clock teapot house over in the Dragons area with her appointed teacher, Fairy Mara. Cara is a bit immature, as she is only 100 years old. She has been a bit spoiled by her friends because she's so sweet and shy, but in a good way. Cara loves to be helpful, but thinks she isn't very brave, and has a huge crush on King Blaze. Today, while out on a break and resting on the steps of the entryway, Moira was reading from the historical records book of Bithaca. It's an ancient book left behind by the founding fathers, and a book she guards as the treasure it is. She tries her best as Cara's teacher to show her the importance of an education in order to improve her future. Cara usually has a hard time sitting still for any of Moira's many history lessons, so when everyone came in to Fairy Joy's bakery from rescuing Prince Richard just right behind her, it became quite hopeless to pay attention, and Fairy Moira gave up and let Cara go play.
Go on, off with you.
Moira said, and shooed her away. Excitedly, Cara was off towards the bakery and her secret crush. Everyone was happy to see her, and each shared their part in today's rescue with her. Cara just loves being around King Blaze, as she thinks he's a real life, living, breathing, walking, and talking romance novel
Hero.
She's a good kid with a big heart who has a huge case of puppy love on King Blaze. Prince Richard walked over to Cara and smilingly said,
Well, hello, Cara.
Distracted from listening to King Blaze greet everyone, Cara looked up at Richard, smiled, and said, Well, hello, Prince Richard. That was quite the adventure you had today.
Oh, Cara, you should have been there. That slide was epic. Sailing unexpectedly down the cavern slide was a bit questionable.
But, all in all, it was a great adventure, Richard answered. Cara smiled at the still grinning Richard. Cara noticed that the king was ready to leave and was headed straight towards them.
Why, hello, Cara dear.
The king said.
My apologies, dear, but Rich and I need to head on home for a while. You don't mind, do you?
the king asked in a fatherly voice.
Oh, no, sir. That's okay. We can catch up later,
Kara just managed to say with some sort of intelligence before her brain became mush.
Catch you later, Cara.
Prince Richard said as he and his dad waved goodbye to everyone and headed on home. As father and son headed home, a shell-shocked Kara could only stand there and watch them leave. It was only after they left her field of view that she was able to think straight again. In a whisper, under her breath, she said, "Oh, my gnome!" Kara just couldn't stop smiling after that. She waved goodbye to everyone at the bakery and headed back to Moira, who had continued to wait for her at the entryway steps.
Well, would you just look at the grin from ear to ear on this one?
Moira said when she looked up and spotted Kara. Kara could only shyly lower her head and continue to smile as she caught up to Moira's side. The two returned to tending and planting along the fence line in the field. The two tiny fairies were happily pruning the shrubbery before them and discussing Prince Richard's little adventure, when Fairy Kara felt the ground give way beneath her and let out a startled yelp. "Moira!" Kara said in a panic. Fairy Moira instantly yelled for help and ran to where she last saw Kara, peering down into the small hole, trying to find where the little fairy had went, but Moira could see nothing.
Cara dear, are you okay?
Moira asked, hoping to hear a reply from the darkness of the hole. Kara had fallen a long way down and hurt herself in the fall. It all happened so fast that she simply couldn't get her feet beneath her so that she could spread her wings and fly. Before she landed upon the floor of the cave, she had hit a rock with her wing, and now she couldn't fly. "Moira, I've hurt my wing," she yelled up to a distressed Moira.
Darling, you stay right where you are, okay?
She told Kara, suddenly all motherly. "Okay," Kara said, hugging herself out of pain and for comfort. Everyone that was in the field came to help, and those that were within earshot of Moira's plea also came. Bobo Rabbit said as he joined the gathered group.
I'm so sorry, Mora dear, but I cannot dig through rock, and therefore I cannot help you.
Manny, Emmett, Earl, Marcus, and Irie Gnome offered to dig down to her, as after all, moving through soil is like breathing for a gnome, and rocks, well, they're nothing for them to handle.
I thank each and every one of you for all the help to rescue Fairy Cara.
Moira said in a distressed voice. With these words spoken, the gnomes each patted her shoulder and began to tunnel down towards Kara. They had reached a wide-open cavern just below the entryway and could tell that she had fallen several levels further down and yelled this information up to Moira. The five gnomes continued to dig until they hit an unstoppable vein of ore that crumbled beneath them, and they had to stop, as they were uncertain as to where or how safe Kara would be if they continued. They were going to have to find another way to Kara or risk destabilizing the entryway. The defeated little group informed Kara of this before returning to the surface and telling an already upset Moira. Prince Brighton, who was a red night rider from the Dragon's area, came as soon as he heard Moira's cry for help, and offered the services of the knights to go in the Dragon's Den entrance and explore for Kara. Everyone agreed to this plan, and Moira yelled down the hole to Kara that the knights were coming for her, and to please hold on. Reassured by this, Kara yelled back up that she would stay put. So Prince Brighton goes back to the Dragon's area and gathers up all of his knights, and heads off towards the Dragon's Den. Now, in Bithaca, the dragons are all friendly, so the knights know almost all of the cave system within the Dragon's Den as their friends. The entrance to the Dragon's Den is just under the Bithaca LaRue sign in the corner of the field area. All of Bithaca's dragons are the guardians of the den. You can always find Veritas' dragon at the entrance, waiting to play, but be careful with this little green dragon, as he is a bit of a trickster. Prince Brighton and his men walked up to the entrance, and Veritas greeted them all.
Oh, how marvelous! I have guessed. I heard Moira's call for help. How can we dragons be of service? Veritas, old friend, Kara has fallen into a hole. Mightn't we enter into the caves to search for her?
Prince Brighton asked. For once, Veritas was all serious, and replied,
Oh, but of course, and if ever a dragon can be of service, just give us a call on the call box. Will do, Veritas,
Prince Brighton said as he and his men entered the cave. Veritas left the group to go sign them all into the den's logbook, and then added, +1 drop-in, Kara. Most caves form their own landscapes due to the types of moisture, soil, and rocks within the environment or area. There are of course natural caverns, as well as many that were dug out by the gnomes and dragons for various reasons. It really is quite the labyrinth beneath Bithaca. On top of all of this, you also have the mining areas from the first gnomes. Everyone fully understood that finding Kara was going to take a while, as well as several levels down the cave system. After the knights entered the cave, they decided to split up into two groups of the Red Knights and the Blue Knights. Level by level they went in search of Kara. Meanwhile, Kara had remained where she had fallen. Of course, she was very curious about the area she was in and wanted to explore a little. So she yelled up to Moira to tell her this.
Oh, I don't think I would do that, dear. Maybe you should stay put and wait for the knights to arrive.
Moira yelled back down to silence as Kara had already walked away and couldn't hear her. Now, everyone knows that you should always stay put to be found, but Kara's curiosity got the better of her. You see, not too far away she could hear the sounds of running water, and she just was so thirsty, so off she went. Around the corner of the passageway that she had just come from was the sweetest little stream of water, surrounded by blue, glowing mushrooms. The whole scene was just so pretty and romantic to her. Kara strolled over to sit down on some rocks by the water's edge so that she could scoop some water up in the palms of her hands to get a drink of water. Her wings was hurting a bit, but she was sure it wasn't broken. Kara thought she saw something move out of the corner of her eye, in the corner of the cave she was in. Hello? Is someone there? Kara said, thinking it was someone, but no one answered. So Kara dismissed the whole thing as just her imagination, but she was sure she had saw someone. About this time she saw Prince Brighton and his men, and went to greet them. My heroes have arrived, she said with a big smile on her face, and she was relieved to be able to go home and rest her wing. Prince Brighton bowed to her and said,
May I please have the honor to escort you home, my lady?
Playing along, the other knights fell to one knee and placed a hand across their armored chestplates. Why, I'd absolutely be delighted, she replied, continuing to play the damsel in distress to her wonderful army of gallant knights in shining armor. Everyone smiled to each other as the knights got up and Kara took the extended arm of Prince Brighton. A shy, silver, shiny robot watched from a dark wall as the group began to leave. Kara couldn't help but look back. She questioned whether or not she had actually saw anything back there. Prince Brighton had asked if she was okay, as he had noticed the look of concern on her face, Kara replied that everything was fine, and they continued to head on out of the den. Upon seeing that her friend was fine, Morva took her home after thanking everyone for all their help. She put Kara straight to bed after wrapping her wing in a cool wrap, which would help the bruising and to help her rest. After Kara had rested, Morva helped her to ask around if anyone had seen anything down in the caverns, but everyone told her there was nothing down there that the dragons didn't already know about, and Kara had to let it go, even though she was sure she had seen something. Later that night, Kara thought about what she might have seen, and she just couldn't stop thinking about it. She decided that she would tell the king tomorrow. She thought drowsily as she drifted off to sleep. Kara had a huge smile on her face at the idea of being able to see her crush again. It was sure nice spending some time with you. Y'all come on back for our next adventure. We'd love to see you. Until we meet again, be kind to one another. Bye now.
We sure do thank you all for tapping those buttons. Like, subscribe, and share.
May the magic of wonder always fill your heart.